We have brand new information just coming into the WRAL Severe Weather Center. A watch going into effect and our first severe thunderstorm warning as our line of thunderstorms starts to come together. I'll break down the threats and the timeline coming up.
Amazon is making a big delivery to this site in Smithfield. The major announcement that was made today and how much it will cost the community.
Your number one source for local news. This is WRAL, coverage you can count on.
Right now in WRAL News at 4, as Kat mentioned, we already see severe thunderstorms popping up in the dual Doppler 5000. That activity to the west of our area. It's going to get here at some point. Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Gerald Owens.
And I'm Lena Tillett. You are looking live now in Wilson. You can see how cloudy it is right now and also how the whirligigs are moving, meaning that there is some major wind happening here. Meteorologist Kat Campbell tracking the storms. And our WRAL storm tracker is out on the roads monitoring conditions there. Kat, you are learning of the first severe thunderstorm warning. What's going on?
Well, we're tracking a storm right now that's been moving through Guilford County. It has produced some hail when it was in Kernersville, producing 1-inch diameter hail, as well as when it moved through Greensboro. That storm is moving to the southeast at 35 miles per hour, and northwestern Chatham County, just a small sliver of Chatham County north of Siler City, is included in the severe thunderstorm warning. This is in effect for another 30 minutes. So hail and wind will be our main concerns, but you can start to see our line of thunderstorms developing in the northwestern part of our viewing area from Henderson over closer to Oxford and just north of Durham and Chapel Hill, closing in on Hillsborough, where our WRAL storm tracker is right now. So we'll have a view of that coming up a little bit later on in the newscast when the storm arrives there. And off to the southeast, we do have some rain around Goldsboro, eastern Wilson County. That's not severe. Our concern is the northwestern part of the viewing area where that line is coming together, and it's moving into an area with more unstable air. That is why we are under a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe storms today from the triangle south and east. The main concern, hail and damaging wind gusts, a very small chance of an isolated tornado. New information we just got in moments ago. A severe thunderstorm watch has been issued, and this includes the triangle, Wake County, Fayetteville included as well for most of our viewing area until 10 o'clock. And this means we have the ingredients that we need for severe weather to develop. When a warning is issued, that is when you need to take action or seek shelter. We're going to be tracking these storms for you throughout the afternoon. I'll have a closer look at the hour-by-hour timeline coming up in about 15 minutes.
All right, we'll check in with you then. Thanks, Kat.
The shutdown of the largest pipeline in the U.S. is causing major concerns about our cybersecurity and the prices you pay at the pumps. New today, the FBI has confirmed reports over the weekend that the Russian group called Dark Side is responsible for the attack on the Colonial Pipeline. It was forced to shut down after a cyber attack, which we reported over the weekend. Now the company says it hopes to be largely back online by the end of the week. The company says its 4 main lines remain offline, but some smaller lines between delivery points are operational.
Now, the pipeline is a significant source of fuel supply for the southeast and east coast, particularly here in North Carolina, also in Georgia, South Carolina, Virginia, and Tennessee. You can see just how far up the east coast this stretches. The Colonial Pipeline transports about 45% of all fuel consumed on the east coast. Now the disruption could result in a spike in gas prices. WRAL's Joe Fisher explains the potential impacts in the days ahead. He joins us live in Raleigh. Joe?
Lena, we've actually already seen a slight uptick in gas prices because of the spring driving season. AAA reports that in North Carolina, gas prices are up 6 cents in the last week. You can see here near downtown Raleigh, the price for regular gas is $2.79. But today, supply chain experts I talked to say if this pipeline doesn't start flowing in the next few days, these prices could go even higher.
Spanning 14 states from Texas to New York, one of the busiest pickup sites for the Colonial Pipeline is right in our backyard in Selma, where Sky 5 captured tanker trucks filling up Monday.
For the eastern part of the state, we are completely dependent on the Colonial Pipeline, 100%.
A cyber attack has shut down the 5,500-mile line. While there is fuel in storage, like this junction in Apex, supply chain experts say gas stations could face shortages if the closure extends beyond Wednesday.
There's kind of a domino effect. The first areas to be hit would be Atlanta and Tennessee, and then likely North Carolina, and then all the way up to New York.
Rob Hanfield with NC State says the impact extends beyond drivers to grocery store shipments and deliveries to your front door.
I'm not that concerned about it, really.
Drivers topping off their tanks tell us they're not too concerned about shortages, but they do expect to see prices tick up until all the lines start flowing again.
You know, when I need gas, I get gas. I'm not going to worry about it.
And Rob Hanfield, the supply chain expert you just heard from, says right now there is really no reason to panic and no reason to start hoarding gas or filling up tons of gas cans. One thing he did say is that it's probably a good idea today or tomorrow to go out and just top off your tank just in case there are any periodic disruptions. Lena.
All right, good advice there. Thanks, Joe. And this is a story that's deeply concerning for our cybersecurity. Several towns and cities have seen their systems hacked into here at home just in the past year, including Chatham County, Durham, and Rocky Mount. Ahead at 4:30, what cybersecurity experts say about how worried we should be and how to protect your own information. And don't forget, you can find the lowest gas prices in our area on WRAL.com. Just search for Fuel Tracker and put in your zip code.
Hello, I'm Mark Boyle in the WRAL Live Center, taking you down to Clayton right now, 120 East Kennel Lane, where investigators are looking into a murder-suicide that still is under investigation. This is the community where it happened. On your screen, some video from the scene. This happened late Sunday, but right now we are just getting some new information into the Live Center of those involved. Jamie and Christina Bueno, according to investigators, got into an argument inside their home, and the husband shot the wife to death and then turned the gun on himself, according to investigators. Inside that home and nearby, their 6-year-old son, not hurt in this case, now in state custody. Again, that child not hurt, and the investigation is still ongoing. But according to investigators, the husband and wife did have a history of domestic dispute problems. We'll continue to follow this story as it develops. Much more coming up on WRAL. Back to you.
It's so sad that boy will grow up without his parents.
Sure will.
Mark, thank you. NFL star Tariq Cohen is opening up about losing his twin brother who was electrocuted in Wake County over the weekend. On Twitter, Cohen said, quote, "I lost my brother, my twin, myself. What a great man he was. God truly calls home the best and most worthy. I'll just miss him forever." WRAL crews first reported on the death of Terrell Cohen Sunday after Wake County deputies found his body at a Duke Energy substation near Six Forks Road. They believe he was trying to climb some of the equipment at the time. Friends and family say the behavior was unusual for him. The discovery came one day after he ran from a single-car crash less than a half-mile from the substation. Tomorrow, Andrew Brown Jr.'s family will be able to see more of the body camera video showing his death. So far, this is the closest look the public has seen of what happened. But the family will get a much closer look than that. The Pasquotank County Sheriff says they'll be allowed to see a, quote, portion of the video, less than 20 minutes of nearly 2 hours that were recorded. We'll have a team in Elizabeth City as the family gets its extended look at the video, which will not be made public for now. You can look for reports on WRAL throughout the day tomorrow.
More jobs are coming to North Carolina, this time from tech giant Amazon. At noon, we broke the news the company is building a massive distribution warehouse about 1 mile from the Johnston County Airport in West Smithfield. WRAL Sloan Heffernan was there for the announcement. She joins us live to explain how many jobs will be created and what it's going to cost to make it happen. Sloan?
Lena, we're about 3 miles from the location of that site, just down US 70 on the outskirts of Smithfield. Amazon promises to bring 500 new jobs to this area and invest more than or nearly $100 million. And that investment can't come soon enough for this community. This area used to be thriving, but in the 90s, they saw a loss in the tobacco industry and textiles. They are hoping that this Amazon deal is just the spark they need, but it comes at a cost.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you very much.
An announcement this big calls for some fireworks. Johnston County officials and Smithfield town leaders announced a deal with Amazon that has been years in the making. Amazon is building a new warehouse and distribution center in West Smithfield. Construction is already underway at the site at US 70, about 1 mile from the Johnston County Airport. As part of the deal, Amazon will receive millions of dollars in tax rebates over about 5 to 7 7 years. The economic development director says Amazon will only receive those rebates once the distribution center is built and the jobs have been created.
This is an opportunity to kind of change the tide a little bit. So instead of people getting in their cars and having to work in Raleigh or the park, they've got opportunities right here in their own backyard. So we're trying to create a live, work, play atmosphere.
And we're told that those 500 jobs will pay about $15 an hour, and the tax rebates over the 7-year period will total about $5 million. But even with those tax rebates, Lena, county and town officials tell me that Amazon will become the second largest taxpayer in Smithfield, and once that rebate period is over, they will become the highest taxpayer in Smithfield. Back to you.
We'll be following this closely. Sloan Heffernan live in Smithfield. Thank you.
We are working our sources to get more information about this crash in Johnston County where these two vehicles slammed into the side of that home. This happened around 9 a.m. at the intersection of Progressive Church and Baker's Chapel Roads. Sky 5 was over the scene as tow trucks removed the black sedan and the white SUV. The Highway Patrol is investigating this crash. We are told there are no injuries to report. A Fayetteville woman accused of killing a mother of 2 children 2 days before Mother's Day appeared in front of a judge today. 26-year-old Tiara Vincent is a Fort Bragg soldier. She's charged with first-degree murder and shooting into an occupied vehicle. She's accused of shooting 22-year-old Keela Horton inside her car. Horton is also stationed at Fort Bragg. The incident happened Friday on Ferndale Drive. Investigators say the 2 women were arguing about a man who they both knew.
A verbal altercation took place between the 2 of them, and our allegation is that the defendant at that point then began firing into the car, and it struck our victim, and she was later pronounced dead at the hospital.
Vincent was arrested at the scene on Friday. She is locked up without bond in the Cumberland County Detention Center.
Lawmakers debating whether they should be allowed to carry concealed weapons when they're on official duties. How a change in the law could allow them to carry at the legislature or even into the courthouse. And staffing shortages at the Durham 911 Center, how it's affecting response times and impacting the 911 Center in Raleigh. And a second death in 1 week at Busco Beach in Goldsboro. We're pressing commissioners about regulations for the park tonight at 5.
A staff shortage at the Durham 911 Center means some emergency calls made in Durham are being handled in Raleigh. We reached out to representatives in several other counties to see if they also have this problem. So far, we've heard from Orange, Granville, Wayne, and Wake counties who all say staffing has not been an issue for them. The Durham Firefighters Union sounded the alarm about this issue in their city over the weekend. They say when 911 calls are rerouted, which that can delay response times. Our calls to Durham's 911 director and the city manager haven't been returned.
State lawmakers are debating whether they should be allowed to carry concealed weapons when they're on official duties. That could be at the legislature or in other places where guns are even forbidden. WRAL's Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie joins us live at the Legislative Building with what they're proposing. Laura?
Lena, right now, only law enforcement officers are able to carry weapons here at the Legislative Building. The public has to go through security checkpoints and a metal detector to make sure that they're not armed. The bill would allow state lawmakers and other elected officials who have concealed carry permits to carry those weapons in places where they're now banned, including here at the legislature and also courthouses and state government buildings. The state legislative complex has seen big increases in spending on security, equipment, and police officers in the past few years. And some House lawmakers opposed to the bill pointed that out today. But the bill's sponsor, Representative Keith Kidwell, says he feels the need for more personal protection. He says that's especially the case when he's outside the legislature on official duties.
Personally, having received several death threats, it's a situation where, I think that we and many other members, including several members of the Council of State, believe we should be able to carry it as a matter of self-defense.
Law enforcement officers and judges can already carry concealed weapons in those otherwise banned places. Backers of the bill say they and the Council of State should have the same ability to defend themselves. The bill would specifically not allow them to carry on schools or educational property. It's expected on the House floor later this week. Lena?
Laura Leslie live in Raleigh. Thank you.
Sheetz employees are getting a raise. Today, the company announced it will give all 18,000 employees a $2 an hour raise. That includes 3,000 employees here in North Carolina. Summer employees will get an extra $1 on top of that. That temporary raise runs through late September. Sheetz also updated its parental leave policy. All of this in an effort to attract the best talent.
Well, for the first time since the pandemic began, the Durham Bulls will be back at the DBAP. And fortunately, their home opener is not today because this is what it's looking like right now. Look at all the clouds there. The game tomorrow starts at 6:30. They face off against the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. The home opener follows a 6-game road series, which ended last night with the first loss of the season. The Memphis Redbirds beat the Bulls 7-6 in the 10th inning. Look for coverage from the DBAP tomorrow morning. WRAL's Casey Cunningham kicks off our coverage at 4:30.
The cleanup is underway near Memphis, Tennessee, after a tornado swept through that area yesterday. It was just after 4:30 when the tornado touched down in Tipton County. Trees were uprooted, homes, sheds, and cars were damaged. Despite the damage, residents are thankful that there have been no reports of injuries. The National Weather Service is surveying the area to determine the strength of the tornado. Meteorologist Kat Campbell joining us now from the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Kat, we saw in that shot from Lena at the DBAP, and you're also seeing in this video here from the storm tracker of those clouds building just west of here.
Right, and Amy is actually in Hillsborough right now, and that is what she's seeing. A very ominous look from the WRAL storm tracker. This is a live picture coming in from Hillsborough right now as a storm approaches that has the threat to produce 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts as well as penny-size hail. And we are seeing signs of hail with this thunderstorm on radar. So taking a look at our radar right now, you can see exactly where the storm tracker is in relation to that storm. And this storm is going to produce some very strong winds, torrential rain as it moves in, as well as the threat for some hail. And the timeline, it's arriving in Hillsborough pretty much as we speak. You can see the ominous clouds, the winds picking up there right now. And for Durham, this storm is still about 20 minutes away from you, but it is traveling to the southeast in your direction. So heads up, Durham, you do have some rain that is headed your direction, and it should be there within the next half hour. Looking at our severe threat tracker, you can also see why we are concerned about the threat of hail. Where you see the purple showing up, the dual pole radar is detecting potential hail, and this is just on the north side of Hillsborough. This is going to track southeast, so on the east side of town for Hillsborough that we're concerned about. And we also have a secondary storm that we are tracking. This one headed for the northwestern part of Chatham County, a severe thunderstorm warning in effect there until 4:30. We told you about that at the top of the newscast as it was issued. And this is our main concern here. It's this line of storms moving through the northwestern part of our viewing area. It's tracking to the southeast about 30 miles per hour, and as it moves through, it's moving into a more unstable environment around the triangle. Any other rain that we have in Wayne County right now, nothing severe there. So let's track this hour by hour. For Durham, Chapel Hill, we're looking at the 4 to 5 o'clock time frame for the threat for thunderstorms. For Wake County and Rocky Mount, it's likely going to be between about 5 o'clock this evening and 7 o'clock tonight that you see thunderstorms again for Wake County, Sanford, Rocky Mount. And then this line of storms is going to push past Wake County closer to Johnston County, Wayne County, Cumberland County between 7 and 9 o'clock tonight. And once we get past 9 o'clock, we may still have some rain around, but it's less likely that we would see anything severe as our energy levels go down after sunset. All of this sparked by a cold front passing through today. This is what's causing the threat for severe storms this evening. Hail and strong winds are the main threat. We can't entirely rule out an isolated tornado, though. And behind this cold front, it is actually going to be pretty cold for the end of the week. Don't put away your jackets or your sweaters yet. Our normal high this time of year, 78. Tomorrow, 10 degrees below normal, only in the upper 60s for highs. Wednesday, 20 degrees below normal, and we stay in below normal temperatures even as we head into the weekend. The Durham Bulls Athletic Park, it is a stormy evening as we track that thunderstorm that's moving your direction. It's not going to be that way tomorrow night for the Durham Bulls home opener. It should be nice out. Mostly cloudy skies, but some breaks in the clouds by then, and temperatures closer to the mid-60s at 6 o'clock. By 8 o'clock, 60 degrees. So it does get better tomorrow, just in time for the Durham Bulls home opener. I can't wait. I'm going to be out there at our Durham newsroom. Wednesday, a big difference, only in the 50s, and that comes with rain. What a day for May. I'm going to track that system in the next half hour, and then we have another chance for rain Thursday night and Friday, cooler and unsettled for May.
You know, baseball fans have waited a long time to hear the crack of the bat. That should be fun. Thank you, Kat.
Can you imagine the surprise walking down the street And just seeing a tiger lounging on your front yard or your neighbor's front yard. Well, this happened in Texas. We'll tell you the story coming up next. Plus,
how can a single mouse click bring down an entire computer network? Experts tell us what we need to know about cybersecurity.
Tesla and SpaceX founder Elon Musk revealed he has Asperger's.
He did. He announced his diagnosis while hosting Saturday Night Live this weekend. During his opening monologue, he made fun of his monotone speaking style and questionable tweets. See, Asperger's affects a person's ability to socialize and communicate. The condition is on the autism spectrum, but I thought he did an excellent job. He's rather funny. Had his mother there. I thought he was likable. I mean, the guy really, for someone of his stature, to come out and do Saturday Night Live,
yeah,
it was out of his element. I thought he hit a home run.
I thought he was all right.
Well, you got to think about it.
I thought he was all right, but you know what? It was interesting that he said that he was the only person that that has had Asperger's to host.
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd actually had Asperger's, and a lot of people didn't know that.
Did Dan admit it? He said maybe the first one to admit it.
Yeah. Well, apparently he has in the past, but it definitely was an interesting performance from him. So this is something you just don't see every day: a tiger lounging on a front yard in Houston, Texas. At one point, the tiger walked toward a deputy who lives in the neighborhood. When the deputy drew his weapon, another man from a nearby home came out and shouted, "Don't shoot," because the man said it was his tiger. So he took him back inside. He reportedly came back out with the tiger, put it in his truck, and left before police got there. The landlord said the man claimed he did not have any pets before he moved in, declining to pay a pet deposit. The eviction process, as you can imagine, has started.
Yeah, just a little slight omission. A neighbor also said that he saw a monkey peeking out the window once. So this guy has a menagerie in there, or at least had. I'm sure he's not in there now. No.
You say you don't have a pet, and that's what you see. The neighbors were terrified.
He might say, I don't have any dogs or cats.
Okay.
Well, that's a cat, though.
All right, coming up next at 4:30, we continue to follow this big story. The Colonial Pipeline shutdown, suspected Russian hackers responsible for the attack at the largest U.S. fuel pipeline.
And the concerns from cybersecurity experts about what else they're capable of and what businesses need to know to protect themselves. That's ahead at 4:30.
How much does corruption and bribery cost the world economy? Well, we'll check a claim by Kamala Harris coming up.
Plus, WRAL investigates hits the road where more and more drivers are putting the pedal to the metal with deadly consequences. That's tonight at 6.
And as we head to break, a look at how the stock market performed today, all down.
Welcome back. We continue to monitor this storm system moving across our area right now. The WRAL storm tracker currently in Hillsborough. Meteorologist Kat Campbell saying that this storm currently over Hillsborough has the potential for hail and even damaging winds. So make sure you take it easy if you have to drive, or certainly try to make sure that you can stay inside until that storm passes. You see the rain falling there, the wet roadways as well. Meteorologist Kat Campbell will join us momentarily to talk about this system.
Hello, I'm Mark Boyle in the WRAL Live Center monitoring those conditions Lena was just talking about. Right now, live look over Chapel Hill, and you can see the dark storm clouds there in the distance moving our direction, moving east right now. Much different story. The skyline of Raleigh, a beautiful afternoon, but we know how quickly that can change. 3D TrueView traffic right now at 4:30, green across the board. That can change, though. We'll monitor this situation this afternoon. Back to you.
It's hard to believe that the Colonial Pipeline, the longest pipeline in this country, shut down because of a cyber attack, but it did. And it begs the question, if hackers can do this, what else are they capable of? WRAL's Amanda Lamb spoke with experts about this topic today and joins us live from Raleigh with what she learned. Amanda?
You know, Gerald, it's a lot simpler than you might think. We've all gotten these emails on our computer from people we don't know with strange attachments, or maybe a text message from an unknown number with a link. You're not supposed to click on these, because one click on one of these items, well, it can bring your whole computer down and sometimes your whole network.
Think before you click. That's the message cybersecurity experts want you to hear.
This is huge for us within the state of North Carolina. One of our primary concerns is ensuring that we are protecting our critical infrastructure.
The chief risk officer for the state's Department of Information Technology, Maria Thompson, says cyber attacks like the one on the Colonial Pipeline can impact everything from our electrical grid to our water supply.
We want to educate as much as possible our citizens and residents of North Carolina so that they do protect themselves.
Security experts say you should update your virus software, enable two-factor authentication, and never click on anything if you don't recognize the sender.
It's a piece of email that's sent by a hacker with the goal of trying to steal either some information from you or to deliver some form of a virus, in this case that we saw over the weekend.
And this is called ransomware. And then they actually ask the person for money and say, if you want to untangle this mess, you have to pay me. So it's basically extortion. This has gone way up during the pandemic. That's because a lot of us are working from home and we don't have the same security factors that we do in the office. So it's definitely something we're going to have to keep an eye on, Gerald.
We must keep our guard up all the time. Thank you, Amanda.
North Carolina is joining dozens of other states urging Facebook to abandon plans to create an Instagram for children under 13. Attorney General Josh Stein says the idea is dangerous. He's among the many critics concerned children will be exposed to misinformation as adults are. They're also worried about the potential impact social media could have on a child's emotional well-being and development. Facebook says it has new measures in place to keep teens safe on Instagram.
There are several opportunities to get a COVID shot this week. Johnston County Health Department is hosting a vaccine clinic every day of the week until Thursday. They'll administer shots from Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson. You can schedule an appointment online at takemyshot.nc.gov or just walk into the clinic. The vaccinations begin at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
And you can find COVID information on WRAL.com. Each day, we are making updates to the list we've compiled about where to get the vaccine. Tap the vaccine info button to see available appointments and walk-in clinics this week.
The CDC approved a new way for international travelers to come into the U.S. Travelers can now do in-home testing for coronavirus. People coming into this country need a negative coronavirus test. Travelers need to take this test no more than 3 days before departure. The at-home test must meet CDC approval as an antigen test. A telehealth provider must also certify results, procedure, and identify the traveler.
Vice President Kamala Harris addressed the causes of immigration in a speech last week, citing corruption as a major reason people leave their countries. However, our partners at PolitiFact found a problem with one of the numbers she gave. Paul Spey explains.
How much money is the world losing to corruption and bribery? Well, Vice President Harris says there's so much of it that it comes out to about 5% of the world's gross domestic product. Here's that part of her speech last week.
And around the world, we know that corruption inhibits shared prosperity. In fact, the global cost of corruption is as much as 5% of the world's GDP. 5%.
So, is she right? This is one of those things that's been repeated a lot, so many times that people think it's true. However, PolitiFact could not find the original source of this claim. We asked the White House. They said they heard it from a United Nations leader. That leader cited the World Economic Forum. But when we reached out to the forum, they referred us back to the UN, and the UN didn't answer our question. So we looked a little deeper, and we noticed that the UN put the stat in one of their reports from 2008, and they cited the World Bank. But guess what? The World Bank told us they don't know where the source came from. And now one of the organizations that helped write that UN report is telling us the more they look into this figure, the more fishy it looks, and they're asking people to back away from it. In fact, a professor at Harvard Law tried to track down the origins of this claim, and in a paper published just last month, he found the stat appears to have no basis whatsoever, and he says no organization or advocates should cite this statistic. So, unless someone can find a specific study somewhere, the Truthometer has to rate this false. What a weird story. To read all the details, go to WRAL.com.
That is odd. Our fact checkers are always on the lookout for news stories. You can send us a tip through our homepage.
A construction worker is dead after falling off a church in LaGrange. This happened on South Caswell Street around 8 o'clock this morning. Authorities say the 36-year-old man was doing some construction on the roof when he fell. He was declared dead at the scene. The Lenoir County Sheriff's Office is investigating.
A crossing guard has a drive to help people, even at 96 years old.
I want to make 100, but as long as my health do pretty good, I'll stick with them.
What he attributes long age to. Plus, researchers in the Triangle are part of a cutting-edge project to create a COVID vaccine for animals. We'll explain the findings up next.
Welcome back. I'm meteorologist Kat Campbell in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. I wanted to let you know we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued. This one is in effect until 5:15 p.m. So we have just about another 35 minutes to go in this warning, and the threats are 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts as well as quarter-size hail, so 1-inch diameter hail. The storm is moving southeast at 30 miles per hour. It's currently moving through Graham, and this severe thunderstorm warning does include parts of Orange County, Lee County, Chatham County, and Durham County. And I've drawn the storm track on this, and it shows the storm arriving in Carrboro shortly after 5 o'clock. Same with Chapel Hill and closer to New Hill at 5:37. I want to loop this for you so you can get an idea of the movement of this thunderstorm right now as it moves to the southeast. And the WRAL storm tracker is on the way to Chapel Hill right now, tracking this storm. Chapel Hill, you are included in the severe thunderstorm warning. So is Pittsboro. And if this storm holds together, it will be tracking toward the south side of Wake County. The WRAL storm tracker is on the roads, as you can see on the left side of your TV, keeping an eye on the severe weather risk with this storm. If you are included in the severe thunderstorm warning, try to move your car into a sheltered area due to the risk of hail. I'll have another update on additional storms forming on radar coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Kat, thank you. A 96-year-old retired school teacher is now a crossing guard in Wisconsin.
Shernea Amara introduces us to the man who hopes to make it to 100.
I'm told it feels like a tradition.
And then I go down this corner at 6:30.
Waking up early to see this face and hear a warm greeting.
Have a good day now.
Meet 96-year-old Julius Campbell. The World War II Navy veteran and retired MPS teacher has seen a lot in his time, but tells me helping kids cross the street near 51st and Roosevelt to Yeshiva Elementary School is a rewarding experience.
And I just love education and being around and doing things for people, helping people.
It takes less than 20 seconds to cross this street. That's how much time Julius has taken to forge lifelong bonds, little by little, day by day.
A lot of the kids graduate, come back. I'm getting their kids grown now.
He says they keep him young, and when you ask this 96-year-old the secret to staying active.
I never lived a rough, I guess you call it a fast life. Never drank, and I never did all those things, run around late at night, and so that makes a big difference.
And looking forward, he says,
I want to make 100, but as long as my health do pretty good, I'll stick with them.
Shernea Amara reporting there. What an incredible gentleman, and doesn't he just look so young? You can't believe he's 96. Well, a COVID vaccine for animals still ahead. The Duke scientists on the groundbreaking research and which animals the vaccine has been tested on so far.
Good afternoon. I'm David Crabtree. Coming up on WRAL News at 5. Our severe weather coverage continues as storms may be popping up where you live. Plus, 2 deaths in the span of a week are raising more safety concerns at Busco Beach. Brian Mims will take us there for answers before you plan your trip. And Durham reporter Laura Levine takes us to the Bull City, where efforts are underway to bring more affordable housing to the area. Members of the community offering us a firsthand look at the needs. Lena, those stories and much more beginning at the top of the hour.
Thanks, David. Duke University appears to be on the cutting edge of vaccine development that could help fight future pandemics. The results of a recent study by the Duke Human Vaccine Institute in animals are promising. WRAL's Deborah Morgan is here with the findings and the next step in the process. Deborah?
Well, Lena, we're all wondering what's next. What could be the next deadly virus that could bring our community to another standstill after COVID-19? Duke researchers set out to answer those questions in order to develop a second-generation vaccine. They tapped into their experience working on vaccines for the flu and HIV in previous years. What they came up with is the pan-coronavirus vaccine. Researchers say this developmental vaccine proved to be 100% effective in protecting monkeys from COVID-19 and other variants. The lead author of the study says these findings could have a significant impact on human health moving forward.
What we actually found was that there's conserved sites on the virus, and that if your vaccine actually can elicit antibodies against that site, then you have a really good chance that you'll generate an immune response that will be broadly reactive. And that's really what came out of this study, was that we saw a level of broad reactivity that I think the other vaccines hadn't seen yet.
Dr. Sanders says that these findings show this developmental vaccine could have a significant impact on human health. The next step, clinical human trials to see if the vaccine will have the same level of effectiveness. No word yet on when that could happen. We have a tornado warning that just came into the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Let's go to Mike Mays.